Good morning, Pastor Steve with Happy Thoughts at Visalia Methodist Church. Today is Thursday, July 8th. Hope you're having a great day. Let's get to it. This is the third in a 4 or 5 part series entitled What? Where I look at some of the things that are going back and forth in our society, the big issues. And the first 2 in this series are important for you to have seen before you watch today's. So if you haven't seen them, go to the church website, VisaliaMethodist.org, and take a look at the first 2 Happy Thoughts entitled What? And that will catch you up. In those, I looked at things that are accusations being made, and I looked at the root of many of the problems in our society from the more progressive side, and I tried to exhibit graceful listening and examine the core truths of what's being said, and suggested in those videos that everybody, whether you're conservative or more progressive, everybody has a lot of work to do to hear the other side, to verify the claims, and to understand that there is a lot of truth amidst all the political back and forth and the war of words. So I think those are worth listening to and worth checking your own heart on. And today, I'm going to double back to the Black Lives Matter issues which I discussed in the first video, and then next week we'll go back to the LGBT issues and look at them from a different perspective also. So today on Black Lives Matter. Look, one of the things that's true in our society with our interconnectedness is that in order to engender change in our society, it almost always takes pushing proper boundaries very, very hard, because what happens in social change is that the national press picks up on the far edge, the kind of absurdist types of thoughts: defund the police, full reparations for all blacks in the country, those kind of things. They aren't designed to actually be pushed as the end result of agenda change. They are meant to pull in tow a lesser and more reasonable way to address our problems. So I do understand that, and I do understand the leadership of Black Lives Matter, that I hope that a lot of the things that are kind of nonsensical and really hard to take coming from Black Lives Matter is intentioned, because they understand that you have to push the edges pretty hard to get to the center to move a little bit in a better path. That said, I do want to address just real quickly the idea of defund the police, and I want to address the statistics that are often bandied about when it comes to violence in Black Americans' lives. And I want to do that just to exhibit, again, what I hope is graceful thinking, and to suggest here are the things that I'm looking for in leadership as our country goes forward. As a Christian and as a concerned American, here are the kind of things that I would get behind and support. So let's start with defund the police. Again, it's absurdist. The idea that because blacks are killed by police in the numbers and the way that they are, that the solution to that is to have less police is illogical. It's about a 3rd grade logic, which is reactionary. And when you hurt a 3rd grader, their immediate intellectual and emotional level makes them want to hurt you back. So the flashback that says, well, just get rid of police departments and we'll give all the money to whatever other organizations is absurd. We know from studies already being done and being concluded now that people who live in predominantly Black neighborhoods, the majority of those people are not in favor of defunding the police or having fewer police to patrol. The crime rates have risen in areas where police have withdrawn or where they have been defunded. It's a disaster, because you should never take seriously imbecilic, immature logic applied to really difficult situations. And that's what that was. That kind of language made popular the people who used it. It appealed to young people who are just ready to be rebellious against anything that reeks of old school and authority. But it's also going to end up harming a ton of innocent people. In our state, as Christians, we have to be graceful in listening to what people are saying, even if it's hard to do so. But we also have to be mature and reasonable in listening to people who are offering possible solutions. So when the fight takes place on the national level between the far left and the far right, between defund the police, no, I love all police, they're all heroes, that level of discourse is discouraging to intelligent people and people who actually want to find a problem. Though I will say it certainly fills up the coffers and enriches people on both sides. And after all, it's a profit-driven world. As Christians in a profit-driven world, one of the things we have to look for is leadership that isn't primarily concerned with popularity or profit. Here, as a sociologist, I'm a trained sociologist. When it comes to the issue of police shooting black people, killing them, or otherwise, not always shooting, but harming them unnecessarily. Here's what it looks like sociologically. The issue isn't that we have too many police, and the issue isn't that we pay police too much. Oddly, the issue is the power, the really unparalleled, unchallenged power of police unions. So in these cases, hundreds of them, right, you can research it for yourself. What happens is that the local police command and the city council or the mayor or whatever structure they have at that level, when police have acted out aggressively and wrongly towards citizens, whether they be black or not, they often are found guilty and their dismissal is recommended. Sometimes they're fired, but then the contract with the police union kicks in, and the police union is tremendously powerful, and they write into those contracts escape hatches so that no matter what the police officer has done, they have a way back into the police force, and oftentimes they're reinstated, and they're reinstated with back pay for the time that they missed. That's a product not of too much money paid to police departments. That's a product of political process. And it's a product of progressive political process that says unions should have tremendous power, even the power to look askance at obviously problematic members of the union. If you want to change the dynamics and put a check on police behavior, it isn't the truth that you need to get rid of the police or give them less money. It is the truth that you need to put some teeth into the ability of the police departments and the city jurisdictions that oversee them. You need to put teeth in them so that when they find these people guilty and when they set punishments for them, the union can't save them because the union continues to save them. So my question as an adult Christian and I think a reasonable person is, why are the leaders of Black Lives Matters not talking to us about what is the core of the problem that allows this mayhem from police to innocent civilians, or sometimes not even so innocent, but overreach of police authority and use of force? Why is no one addressing that? The state legislature here in California had a golden opportunity to address that through legal restrictions of what unions can get away with. But because they're unions and because it would be politically inconvenient, they didn't touch it at all. Instead, they contented themselves with some talking points that were popular. It won't ever get better as long as we take seriously the strident, immature, made for TV simple answers that are based in reverse racism and hatred. When we deal on a third grade level and we follow the people who are profiting from that, we don't get any better. Somewhere, sometime, somehow, the leadership of Black Lives Matters and Black America is going to have to face the fact that it isn't the fact that we have too many police. It is the fact that the police unions are too powerful and keep getting their own people off and reinstated when they perpetrate these acts. Second thing, just an example of what I hope is reasonable thinking. There's a lot of talk about the violence perpetrated on blacks, especially young black men. And the first statistic that you hear most of the time is in 2017, and it's actually increased slightly since then. There were 309 individuals, black individuals, who were killed in one way or another by police officers. And that's a staggering statistic, and it's just used over and over and over again. I'm sure you've heard it or something close to it from 2018, 19, or 20. The other statistic that's used a great deal, and it's called a blunt statistic, meaning that the nuance is removed from it so it has a certain impact, is 10,000 people in 2017, and more and more and more. This year will set a record, right? 10,000 black people, black men, young men primarily, were killed in 2017. And that's right. That's used to justify charges of systemic racism and the horrors of being black and living in a society where whites have had so much power. And again, there's merit to a lot of those points if you get off third grade level. Here's the deal with that statistic. A blunt statistic is used to manipulate people not to tell the truth. The truth is the vast majority of those 10,000 people who were killed, 10,000 young black men, were killed by other young black men. So Black Lives Matters and other leadership involved in these issues and supposedly trying to make our world a better place, they don't address that at all. When have you heard Black Lives Matter marching and with posters that say we have to have change in black society, right? We have to investigate how do we begin to leaven that society so that the sacred worth of every individual is a value that becomes predominant. Again, how do you take the small percentage of violent people in the black community and either rehabilitate them or deal with them in some way so that they're not perpetrating horror across the country? You don't hear anything about that. Everything is about charges of racism and demands for more money, etc. Great. There's a lot of merit in much of what is said. But if you're looking for a solution that actually stops the death of young black men, if you're looking for something that will realistically curb that and change that part of our society, playing the blame game and demanding cash as if an inflow of cash into the poorest of society is going to do anything except for exacerbate their problems, those are just not answers. The answers are not politically popular because they would be low, long, slow, laborious change of culture, and they would cause people on both sides of these things to have to fundamentally listen gracefully and determine to change the way that they have been behaving and the way that they have been thinking. It's a cultural problem that young black men are enculturated into horrific violence against one another and that they see each other as enemies. I don't have a particular idea in mind that would be the panacea and the solution for all of it, but I'm looking for leadership that will actually address the problem, which is that somehow in the convergence of events in our history has produced in black society in the United States a penchant for horrific violence against other blacks. It has to be that what we pour our money, our energy, and our time into looks at ways to eradicate that problem and to begin to leaven change in the very root of the society. That's a mature, honest, caring desire to change the dynamic and to have less young black men killed by young black men, but it doesn't really carry the day now. My idea, my happy thought on this subject is, wow, there's a lot of truth all over this situation. But what we need to look for are leaders who are doing more than becoming multimillionaires at the expense of the people they're pretending to help. We need to look for a third way, not the racist rants from the right or from the left. We need to look at people who can sociologically look at our society and figure out what things we really should be doing. Teaching young black people to hate and distrust all whites is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Teaching that history has been checkered and that racism is the root cause of much of what is wrong in our life, that's a beautiful thing. But we have to be able to have some nuance and we have to be able to have some reality on both sides. I'm going to look for leadership in my political leaders and in my church leadership that has the wherewithal not to jump on a populist bandwagon that, again, operates on about a third or fourth grade maturity level. I'm going to look for leadership that wants to examine the issues and is willing to experiment and try things to see if they leaven the change that we actually want, which is for people of all colors, especially blacks, because they're so disproportionately harmed by violent crimes, that leavens change so that they can grow up in a safer world where they are allowed circumstantially to explore the gifts that God has given them. I'm going to hold to this. I expect of the leadership of the church and of our state, our local municipalities, right? I expect of the leadership of Black Lives Matter, and I expect of the leadership of other groups that are prominent right now, the ability and the maturity and the seriousness to take the long, hard road. I'll close this one by saying, here's what it looks like in my mind. I think of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and I know they're not prominent as they were anymore, but I think of them and their leadership style and what they've done in their lives in contrast to Martin Luther King, who they both learned under. Martin Luther King undertook a long, hard, difficult, systematic change of American opinion and law, especially in the South. And he was dedicated to the most unpopular things that you could possibly be dedicated to, even in Black society. Remember, the Black Panthers are a reaction against Martin Luther King because he was moving so slowly. But he was moving slowly and systematically because his heart actually desired a better life for Black Americans. Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, whatever you might think of them, have proven themselves to be ineffective at the very least. Things have gotten worse while they are the face of Black America. And both of them have enriched themselves to a level that really should turn, it's just amazing and discouraging. We need better leaders who are willing to do the work that it takes to go the long haul, to improve the way our country is and to improve the Black lives that exist within our country. That leadership will look much different than the strident socialists, communists, and hate mongers that are currently in charge of Black Lives Matter. It will look much different, more serious, and more dedicated to the actual passion for the quality of Black lives. That's what I'm looking for. And when I find it, I'll throw my resources, my time, and my energy into supporting somebody who actually cares about the lives they purport to be supporting. I am discouraged by the leadership on the left, and I am discouraged by the lack of leadership on the right in these matters. We have to demand of our leadership on every level that we do more than have a war of hate and words, and that we do the hard work of discerning different paths to try to actually improve it. Now, I've listened gracefully to people who had more points than I thought, and I talked about that in video 1. And this is my graceful reply. I expect of the leadership in these things to have the wherewithal to actually act on behalf of the people in whose name they have enriched themselves to an extent that's just mind-boggling. It's time for some maturity and for some studious and for some serious action on both sides of the aisle to move us forward in our country. I look forward to the time when we have people that we can follow with our full hearts. You may or may not agree with or like the things that I've said. You might have 1,000 things that you think I've missed, and undoubtedly I have, because I'm just one man. If you'd like to reply gracefully, I'll be happy to read your replies on one of the broadcasts coming up. You can email me at pastorstevevumc@gmail.com. If you just want to throw hateful words or insist that whatever, that's why they have the delete button. But if you got something serious to say, if there's some wild miss on my part in suggesting we demand of the leadership in these matters some more maturity and some more study and some more realistic solutions, I'd be happy to hear it. It would likely make me better, and I am willing to listen gracefully. So pretty serious stuff today. We'll have some more serious stuff to next week on Happy Thoughts, and then I think we'll take a couple weeks and just have actual happy thoughts. So I hope that wherever you are today, that these thoughts will at least help you to think and to see things through a different filter. They don't ever change your mind. It's healthy and graceful to listen to what somebody else has to say. I have tried to do that, and today I got to have my say. I'd be happy to listen to you. So God bless you. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you again next week.